anyways.
Yeah. So what you could do... Hey, Dean.
Hey, Dean.
I don't have my audio plugged in
Oh,
yet.
you muted us. Hold on.
You're on mute. We're on mute. Somebody's on
I'm
mute.
off mute.
Hey.
I was on mute.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, it's good. What are you guys? You rent a studio now? What the hell? You got your own studio?
I built this.
Joel built it, man.
Yeah.
That's in your basement?
Yeah.
That looks very legit.
Son of a
Shit, mother.
It's falling apart.
I swear to God, that's the first time that's happened.
I busted the whole studio.
The whole thing just slid off here. Yeah, this is gonna get... So...
That's awesome. I'm complimenting the
This has
studio.
never happened before.
That's
That's perfect. As soon as you start complimenting it, it just self-destructs.
Hey everybody, welcome to Curling Nation Season 3, Episode 13. Interim Season Finale. This is not the season finale, it's almost the season finale. Well,
It's the interim season finale.
it's the interim season finale. So, anyway, first of all, thanks to Motus Financial for their support of Curling Nation. We really appreciate their support. If you have an online store, you need a point of sale system, you need some sort of credit card processing system because you're selling all kinds of really good stuff, contact Motus Financial, motuscc.com. Contact Mason to get all your credit card processing and point of sale equipment needs. Also, we still have merch if you want some cards, end cards, or some M&Ms. These M&Ms are ours. You can go find your own M&Ms because fuck off. If you want some end cards, let us know. Contact the show, curlination@curlingnetwork.com. We can set you up with some end cards, and you can support the show.
Great.
Right.
We've been crushing M&M's the last
We've
few
been crushing
minutes.
M&Ms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a trip.
Official sponsor of this episode.
I did a trip to Costco just last week, and there was the big giant tub of M&Ms was there. So
It was calling your name.
Is that the thing that Costco gets you for every time?
no, meat.
Meat. No, I mean, like, what's the thing that you weren't planning on buying at Costco when you go to Costco and then you end up buying?
It's either M&Ms or chips.
How about you?
For me, it's the if they have the tub o' jelly beans, the Jelly Belly, like Jelly Belly jelly beans. That's usually what gets me.
Mine is the giant thing of goldfish crackers.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sure.
We also have kids, so I mean, like, my kids crush goldfish. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. Usually it's jelly beans for me.
Okay.
Jelly beans.
All right, let's talk about junior nationals.
Curling stuff.
Curling.
U21s out in
Broomstones.
Broomstones out in Boston.
Wayland, Massachusetts. To
Wayland?
be technical,
Got it. Sorry.
it's a suburb of Boston.
Great.
I won the 1998 mixed national championships at that curling club.
And did we figure out if your name's still on the junior trophy?
It is.
It is?
Yep.
Oh, spectacular. Great. Did they add a ring?
I don't know. It was last year anyways, because I
Got it.
remember we had this big concern when we had Poplinski on the show.
that's right.
And he then saw the trophy.
He confirmed it
Shortly
Yeah.
after that it was still on
So
there.
you're still on there. Okay. All right.
And speaking of that, he was the coach of the runner-up team at this year's Junior Nationals.
from Eau Claire.
Team
From Eau Claire.
Wendling, I think.
No, Team Wendling won.
Team Wendling won for the men.
Oh, Hebert
Yep.
Yes, there you
Correct.
is the Eau Claire team, right?
go. Yep.
Okay.
They lost the finals. Close game. Close-ish game.
Got it.
I think Wendling was up a few coming home, but he had to make a pretty good shot in the ninth. Otherwise, I think he would have only been one up
Okay.
playing the last.
Okay.
But they went through undefeated.
Where are they from? Do we know?
Wausau.
Wendling. Wendling is from Wausau?
Yeah, Wisconsin's back,
Cool.
baby.
Yeah, let's go.
That's a pretty awesome win for them, I guess.
Nerd alert.
Yeah.
Ladies, Team
Shield. Yep. Team Shield won.
All right.
They were only three-handed in the final. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they played
Where
the
are they
whole
from?
time. I do not know where they're from. Do you know where they're from?
Are they from...
North Dakota.
Are they relation to, like, the Shield
Could
Sports
be,
Empire?
because I know that the Shield Sports Empire is
Yes.
in the curling world.
Got
But
it.
There's a
right.
good chance.
Shields,
Again,
we will definitely take your sponsorship.
like the lack of research on the show
Yeah, well, that's...
comes through.
just
So
shines bright like a diamond.
shines bright like a car going into the ditch. So, but both teams, I think, are on their way to Junior B's.
Correct. Next year they'll have to play Junior Bs.
We gotta go through Junior B's, which is in, I don't know how to say it. It's in Finland.
They always play it in Finland nowadays. Loha or something.
Loha, Lohja.
I'm going with Loha.
Loha.
Sure.
So it's more Hawaiian type
I don't
name.
It's not
I'm not
Aloha.
Aloha means hello and goodbye.
God damn it, guys!
It's more like German.
It
Ja.
could be.
Lo ya. No, it wouldn't be that
Lo-
either.
I don't know. Well,
Sure. Well, they're both going to Junior B's. So,
using
all right.
okay.
Also, so is that it for juniors? We good for juniors?
Yeah, we're good for juniors.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good for juniors.
Okay.
I was gonna look.
Oh, I
Good
heard
luck.
that.
I was gonna look up the pronunciation of Aloha.
I thought you were gonna look up the pronunciation of Boston.
No,
It's Boston.
it's Boston. Thank you.
You're saying it wrong because you're not getting into a fight when you say it. So,
Oh god.
a Dean's spinner shot.
Okay. Everybody's probably seen
Oh.
it,
No. Never mind. Yep.
Okay.
or they
Yep.
can look it up easily enough by going to the Google
It's
and
all
saying
it's all over the internets.
a Dean spinner shot.
It's
Now,
everywhere.
a lot of
Spoiler alert,
people
it's pretty
are
awesome.
claiming that this is the greatest curling shot ever made.
It can't be because he lost the game.
Ooh.
No, I don't think that's
that
irrelevant.
You think so?
I don't disagree with Joel because I think one of the greatest walk-off home runs ever would have been Jose Bautista in his home run in the playoffs a couple years ago. Then they didn't win the series, so it's irrelevant. I think it was a pretty great moment, but it wasn't one of the greatest home runs ever because they didn't win the series. So they didn't win the game, not one of the greatest shots ever.
I think the best part about that particular home run and
Yes.
that particular person
Yeah.
was the next season
He's
when he got punched in the face by that guy on the Rangers.
Rubned Odor.
Yeah,
right?
he
Something
slid
like
in
that,
hard like to try and break up a double play, and then they kind of got in each other's face.
And there's a great picture of him
And
getting
then-
punched in the face and his sunglasses
And-
coming
yeah.
flying off.
And I don't know. I got nothing against the Blue Jays. I don't particularly like the Rangers in any way, but like that moment was just kind of the ultimate like screw you back
Yeah, but
moment
Yes.
for the guy from Texas.
Back to curling. I agree with Joel.
I know nothing about
That's fine.
baseball, so
Fine.
like I
Sorry,
don't know
we got
what the
off
hell you're
track there,
talking
Got
people.
off
about.
track. But I was trying
Yeah.
to equate it with I agree that it might not be one of the greatest shots.
It's a
ever
really good. It's a
because
really
they didn't
good
win the
shot.
game.
It wasn't a shot. It wasn't a shot to win. It was a shot for the extra,
Right.
which still really good. But they
Still really good.
still didn't win the game. But
I like to say you have to consolidate it. You have to consolidate that shot by winning the
but
game.
like the greatest shot, the slim double to win. Like that was to win.
No, actually, it wasn't. That was to force an extra, but then they
That was?
stole in the extra.
And they
The
so they
Hackner
won.
double?
Yeah.
Hackner
Yeah,
double,
that
so they
was,
won?
that was to tie.
Or it was to tie in the
but then he
10th,
won.
but
But they
then he
won.
won.
Then he won.
I think it was the most creative shot ever played. At least by today's standards.
Yeah. Because teams do, like, high-performance teams do practice that stuff today, right? Like...
Well, they do.
Like golfers, like, they'll practice every once in a while, like, throwing a left-handed, like, shot, like, just something weird. They don't practice it a lot, but they do practice it, right?
Allegedly, the Dean's team practices that.
Right.
Allegedly. And then a video surfaced a couple days later, and Mike McEwen said he did it, 2 out of 10 times on the intern and 1 out of 8 on the outturn or something like that. I mean, I think we might see it more. I would be surprised to know how many practice that consistently, but I could be wrong.
I'm sure they practice it.
I'm guessing that's not something you practiced regularly, was it, Craig?
No.
If ever.
I wouldn't say never, but I definitely... Like, I never practiced it. The only times I ever practiced a spinner was to try and figure out if I could get basically a draw to go straight sideways at the end.
Sure.
Like on a track where I had no chance. Like, the ice did not allow me to make this shot.
Yep.
With throwing it as good as possible. Whatever.
And you know, just papering by a guy
Right.
or something, yeah.
But if I threw it with 50 rotations for the last, 3 feet that it goes forward,
Yep.
will it go 3 feet
feet
sideways
sideways.
also? And I never really got it to work that way. I've seen it work that way.
Yeah.
But maybe that just varied based on ice or stones or the amount of pebble out there at the time. I think it was incredibly creative. I think we will definitely see a lot of people trying similar shots in the future.
100%.
So I did do some math on that shot.
Yep.
I slowed it down.
Because you're a nerd.
Yes.
Right.
Not
True.
opinion.
So it was a 3.98 second backline to hog, 14.98 seconds hog to hog.
Okay.
There was, so the way that,
Not all that awful on champion. I mean, that's
so
fairly
Kind of
standard
draw weight.
championship
Let's
ice.
like draw
Yeah.
weight though.
Yeah.
yeah, that's according to Team Sweden's lead, who responded on Twitter, like
Yeah.
that would have been top 8 foot weight.
There you go.
And so the way they did it was they showed a Dean coming out of the hack and then releasing the stone on the hog line, and then they cut away to showing just a Dean and not the rock, and then they cut back to the rock. So when they cut back to the rock to when it stopped, I tracked that there was 17 rotations for 8.26 seconds from when they showed it to the far hog line.
Okay.
So that came out to 2.05 rotations per second.
Okay.
So that's an estimated of 30.83 rotations from hog to hog. There are another 14 rotations from hog to hit, 5.5 rotations hit to stop. So just over 50 rotations from when he released it to when the rock stopped.
Got it.
And it ended up being like he hit it and it rolled a bunch. So
Yeah. When
that's a lot of rotations.
when they called that shot, what do you think in his mind he thought his odds of making it were?
5%?
10%.
10%? 5%? 5%?
1 in a million. I don't know. Yeah,
I think he probably. I don't know.
What was
maybe-
all that 1 in a million
What was all
talk?
that 1 in a million stuff? Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance? Maybe 10%'s too much, but if he truly practiced it as much as he kind of claims that he has, because I think he said that he practiced it for like 20 minutes that week.
That week?
Yeah, at a club before they started.
Huh.
Like,
Really?
I think that I saw a tweet that said that. Maybe I read that wrong, but
Interesting. That
if he truly practiced it that much, then I'm gonna say close to 10%.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It was-
I mean, maybe in reality he's just
Yeah.
like
It was-
1%.
it was fun to watch. It was awesome to see it made. I mean, you're obviously never gonna see it if he doesn't make it, right? But it was pretty cool. I agree that you'll see it.
You'll see it tried a lot.
You'll see it
going
tried
forward.
a lot. Yeah.
I saw some things on the Twitterverse of people doing it at slams that had no chance at a shot, so they did the spinner shot and it didn't work.
Right. I think that it's going to be a little bit like the beginning of directional sweeping and Broomgate when people still had the rough fabrics, where there was a lot of videos of doing this and that with the stones, and so we'll probably see a decent amount of it, and then it'll kind of become, I don't know, a little bit more common enough. It'll become common enough that you'll see it'll get tried a couple times per event.
Sure.
Are there going to
And
be
probably very, very rarely made.
Are there going to be more trick shots
No,
in curling or no?
I don't think so.
Do you call that a trick shot?
In today's curling, yes.
What about last week's curling?
That would be craziness. Like,
In last week's curling, I'd call it a trick shot. In this week's curling, I'd call it a very unlikely shot.
I think it's. I think there are just so many factors between like the ice and the rocks and the striking bands of the rocks. You know, the running surface of the rocks and the striking bands of the rocks. That it's like, I think there are just going to be a lot of scenarios where it's going to be tried, and even if you finger quotes make it like he made it, you know, maybe the running surfaces are just that much more dead, or the houses are that much more dead, that it won't get made. Like, oh, Dean made it and I did the exact same thing. Yeah, well, the rocks are that much different.
The rocks are different.
You know.
So, like, a couple months ago, I was at the club, and every year that when my kids used to go to a different school, there was just this, like, charity auction, and I auctioned off, 2 hours of curling.
Yep.
And these same guys won it every year. And so they came back. And so this year, we didn't, like, they won it 3 years ago, but then we couldn't play because of COVID. So this is like a leftover prize from 3 years ago that these guys come out.
Love it.
And somebody who was at the club earlier just left all the stones at the far end. And so I got my guys that I'm like, out there kind of guiding them through a game a little bit, but mostly just letting them do their own thing. And I just go to clean up these stones, and I start spinning them back.
Yep.
I'm wearing street shoes. And I
You're
started
wearing street shoes on the ice?
I was.
Jesus.
It's okay. They were
You
clean.
trying to get me
Not
in
telling
trouble?
Jeff. I'm not
You
telling
trying
Jeff.
to get me in trouble? They were.
He made sure to clean them. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever. They were. I don't know. The ice was dirty, anyways. It was a Saturday night. And I was spinning them just to see how they go at the end, because somebody did this in the Scottish Championship or something like that, like a week or two before this.
Yep.
And they made a split that maybe
That was Oscar Eriksson.
No, this was a different one. This was some
okay.
Scottish guy tried it and made a
Got it.
split that I'm not even positive he threw the right turn to make it. like as he wanted, because he fired an intern at it.
Yeah.
And I feel like if he really wanted to roll his shooter, he should have been firing an out turn with 100 rotations.
Did he make it?
Anyway, he made it. But so
Well,
anyways,
then maybe you're wrong.
maybe I'm wrong. I haven't practiced this enough. But anyways, as I'm throwing these stones, 100 years ago, I realized that if you want to get all the rocks from one end to the other, if you spit it 30 times, you don't have to throw them very hard, and they make it all the way down to the other end or close to it. And so I just started doing that, and I did get about 3 of them down going that way. And then I'm like, oh, I should watch how these like end. And at our club, on that ice that night, they did not go
just
straight
mostly go
sideways.
straight,
They
yeah.
mostly just went straight and then kind of stopped. But it was also slow and flat because it had been used all day and hadn't, and our rocks weren't super sharp.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Lots of factors go into it. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of it, but we should get into our interview probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all I got.
That's good enough.
The mixed fours is going on right now, which we get into with Dean. Good luck to those teams, and also the 5 and under championship up in Hibbing starts soon.
Oh, yeah.
So good luck to them.
Good luck to the Purple Pretenders.
Good luck to the Purple Pretenders
Team Nick DeYoung.
Team Nick. So good luck to them, and thanks to Ben for buying some cards for ends.
Sweet.
Ben's going up to
5 and under 2.
502. So
Awesome.
good luck.
Is that the dude from Austin?
Yes.
Sweet. I saw they qualified.
Yeah.
They came up to the 5 and under here.
Yes, they did. Yep.
All right. Great.
Yep.
Super.
So
1, 2, 3 interview.
let's get to Dean.
All right. We got a great guest today. I don't have a lot to say about him. He's a pretty accomplished curler, but more importantly, right now, he's the interim CEO of USA Curling. Nothing more than that. Welcome to the show, Dean Gemmel. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
You bet. Nothing happened this year, so this should be a pretty quick interview.
Should be pretty quick. Yeah.
Wasn't it a pretty quiet year in
Yeah,
U.S.
I think
curling?
it's a pretty
I thought?
quiet year in the USA
Yeah.
Curling. You're coming back on the show. You're a second-time guest, which is great. But last time you weren't as important last time. So
I disagree. It was still important. It just his title maybe wasn't as
maybe his title
important, but
wasn't what it is now. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm more important, just more around, more in talking and moving around, I guess, more than anything. So yeah,
Sure.
all good though.
Good.
So right now you're pressing the flesh out in Denver at Mixed Force.
Yeah, Mixed Fours Nationals here at the Denver Curling Club. The club's doing a great job, but we did say we wanted to be at every national championship this year, so that's what I've done, and this is it's been great to be at them. Actually, it's been a privilege in a lot of ways to be able to go to all these national championships and talk to people from all over in U.S. curling and hear both the good feedback and the criticism, and it's all welcomed.
Have you been getting a lot of advice on what the USCA should be doing?
Yeah, I think that's always the case. What we learned back in the fall was just how passionate the curling community in this country is. So I always say that's one of the positive things that came out of everything. So people have tons of ideas, and I don't know if there's another sport where people are as engaged in, thinking about ways to improve our game or grow our game or, get more people to watch our game. So, I welcome all of it. It doesn't mean I don't have my own opinions on some things too, but I welcome all of the conversation.
Nice.
I think that the curling atmosphere world plays into that a little bit more too, because it's not like you can show up at the ballpark and talk to the commissioner of baseball.
Yeah, I think that is part of it, Craig. You're right. It's part of the organic. Something happened, curling, both teams of 4 and clubs and everything else. It definitely is says something about the nature of the sport.
Well, it's just part of our sport in general. You get done with a game and you sit around and you talk to the people that you play against. And I mean, frankly, you could be one of those people. You aren't currently, but it's definitely a very social sport in that regard. So I think it makes people comfortable sharing their ideas.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's part of it. And, like I said, just all welcomed and appreciated.
Anything like off the top of your head that you hadn't thought of that you want to highlight, or are you playing that all close to the vest right now?
Well, I'm not going to get too deep into everything that's happened this year, but I think we made some good progress in some areas, and I think there's still nothing we can't do at USA Curling to improve or do things a little bit better. But I think overall, I think first of all, I have a really great staff with USA Curling, and people are incredibly dedicated and they're really working for the best. I think one thing I tried to stress this season was that we would make mistakes for sure, but when we did, we would be transparent and honest about them and own them. And we've had to do that a couple times this year. And I certainly have, at times done a couple things that, I could probably roll back and do differently myself. So, everybody makes mistakes. And I think that's just part of life and curling, I guess, right? We've all made mistakes on the ice as well. So that's the big change we're trying to, not change, but thing we're trying to do is just make sure we're upfront about when we do, have something that doesn't go exactly as planned.
So about those things not exactly as planned, I don't know how much you want to get into this, but the GNCC got kicked out, and that's we can't not talk about it. So
yeah, for sure.
We think that certainly I think that USA Curling can't go forward until we're all going in the same direction. So, what can you tell us about the status of that? And I know we all want, both sides want the best for USA Curling. We want more curlers. We want more TV coverage. We want Team USA to do well. But we all got to be pulling in the same direction. So, what's the status of that discussion on bringing both sides back in?
Yeah. Well, first, I'd say through that whole series of events that unfolded in the last summer and slightly before that, that led to that, I will say that I think both organizations made errors along the way and didn't make the best moves. But I don't even know if I'd blame one organization. I don't think it's one organization should be blamed over another. I think we both made mistakes. In July, I said that Gwen Craylow and Peter Lyons weren't members of USA Curling. In fact, they were. I think the Nashua Country Club, I took that into account, but they are members of USA Curling. So that's, just an example of maybe getting out a little bit in front of things. Small example. So I think on the way, both organizations just, didn't take the right steps. I will say at this point, I last spoke to Bob Hogan in December, and what he said and what I agreed with is he said, well, talk to us when you have a new membership model. So we have the Governance 4.0 ad hoc committee.
So who's Bob Hogan?
Yeah, who's Bob Hogan?
Sorry, let me clarify. Did that go on a long time, by the way, guys? I felt like I talked a long time there.
Nope.
No, you're good.
You're doing great.
Okay. So Bob Hogan is the president of the GNCC, and I spoke to Bob in December, late December, and his thought was, look, he said to me, talk to me when you have a new membership model, and I don't disagree with that. I think we do need a new membership model, and we are working with, the ad hoc committee is working hard at that, and I hope to have something, or we have something shortly. I haven't spoken to Bob since then. I think when we have the membership model, and we'll see what happens. Because I certainly, I'm in that area. That's my area of the country. We did have, I would say, I think people thought all the GNCC clubs in that region were going to leave us, and that certainly didn't happen at all. So the at-large region was about 4,000 curlers, and that's primarily from the GNCC area.
Great. Got it.
So can you tell us a little bit more about this committee and what they are working on? Yeah.
So, first, it's obvious when it's Governance 4.0, we might be time for us to get this right. But so the board put together a group of 14 curlers from across the country. They represent all different clubs and areas: arena clubs, dedicated ice clubs, legacy clubs. Some are newer clubs. Some from clubs that aren't members of USA Curling. So 14 hardworking volunteers, and I've been on the committee as an ex officio member. I mainly just provide some details they need from time to time. So they're working on both the new membership model, and I think naturally what will fall out of that is it will impact governance. I don't see how the two would exist, without some connection. So, I think their task that they're working on is a new membership model that they think can function, and then how that would impact the current governance of USA Curling.
So I've heard some of the other podcasts that the GNCC have talked about and over the past year, and I didn't quite understand on those podcasts. I didn't quite understand why the GNCC left per se. Like, I couldn't get a really clear view on it. So if there's a new governance model that works for them, are you confident that some things will get worked out and everybody's going to be okay with that? Or is the new governance model, is that just the first step?
No, I think, ideally, look, all clubs across the country want to be part of USA Curling. I think there's a few things ahead for the committee that they have to decide, and that's even just defining what a regional association is. That would be one thing that has to be looked at, and how does that work? It might be exactly what it is now. I'm not saying it could go one way or another, but defining regional associations and the role they play in the national organization. And I think when that happens, then I think however we work with regions, or they work with us, or they want to be a part of us, I think there's a good solution that is positive for everyone.
Okay. So there was that survey that came out a month ago I took, and there was some specific questions about regional associations and what, I think, as you said, what that defined. Was it just location based or not? Or
first, just let me make one thing clear. I think regional associations are vital for a sport, no matter how governance, the committee might go on governance or membership models, but regional associations are critical to our sport. I mean, they have touch points that a national organization just can't have by nature of the size of the country. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. But I think I think that was part of the survey question: is what should a regional association look like in some ways? If they're there, how should it be defined?
Got it. Like it.
What sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this question. What's been the reaction? Did your club remain a member of the USCA?
Yeah, my club did. Plainfield Curling Club did. I would say among the larger curling-specific clubs in the GNCC geographic region, the ones that weren't with us this year were Rochester, Potomac, Chesapeake also didn't join. You could say Nashua and Peachtree weren't members, but they hadn't been members the previous year either, in my recollection anyways. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So in general, most, the majority did join. Now, that doesn't mean that I regret, for one thing, the fact that we put club leadership in those clubs in a difficult spot, because there was a lot of rancor towards USA Curling. So then a lot of people didn't want to join USA Curling, and some club presidents wanted to remain with us, or boards did, and they, it's typically board votes, and some of those board members took a lot of heat for that. So certainly as a national organization, that's something I don't want to put our club leaders through again. But in general, the majority of the clubs want to support both organizations. So most are members of both. They're just members of USA Curling as at large.
Got it. Now, are you from some of these people who were more hostile toward the USCA? Are you
Yep.
specifically getting some of that blowback, or are they directing that more toward the past leadership or toward the board, or are they coming right after you now because you're the sitting in the big chair?
No, I mean, I think people have been remarkably fair, to be honest, and I certainly I don't take much personally, anyways. I mean, or at least I fake it if I do. So I don't think I've got a pretty thick skin though, and I think most people have been really positive with some of the changes we've brought in and the way we've operated this season. So I feel good about that. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't certainly any number of people who are still upset with the organization and question where we're headed. But I think by and large, most people seem this year to be willing to give us a shot, which is all you can ask for. And like I've always said, we have to go in and earn support, and we're trying to do that. And certainly far from perfect yet, but we're going to keep working towards that.
Yeah, I think we all can attest to the USCA for years being overworked and understaffed.
Yeah, and I would even say, even beyond that, I think Craig would agree with this too. For decades, we had sort of a smoldering embers of USA Curling and our members, and then we ended up throwing some kerosene on that, and that's what we had in the fall. So I don't think this was even 6 months in the making. I think there was a lot of resentment built up over the years, and
this has been years in the making for sure.
Some of it fair and some of it not, but certainly a lot of it fair. So we realized we still have work to do. So we'll keep at it.
Can we agree that we should move on from Microsoft Teams? Because that meeting was just a fucking disaster with Microsoft Teams.
It was. I don't know if Teams was the culprit. I will admit that we have the Teams platform. We've had it for about 3 years, and I don't think we use it nearly as well as we should. I'm hoping to fix that a little bit in the summer, but I don't know if Teams was the culprit in the members' assembly.
Well, there was certainly enough blame to go around, but me personally, I've never had a good experience with Microsoft Teams.
Well, maybe the smartest thing I did in this entire time was when we did that first town hall, right, in early November when I was at the Arena Nationals.
Yep.
And we knew it was going to be a hot one. And Colin Huffman's wife offered to help administer Teams during the meeting. And that was probably the best decision I made, was to say, yes, good idea. Although our Jenna Bercheski and Gabby Takis are pretty good at moderating those meetings now.
Excellent. Colin's wife works for Microsoft, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colin does now too.
Colin does
now too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does.
We're
Colin's in
Teams.
a program like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuck with Teams,
I
Joel.
can't.
Great.
I'm going to master it,
damn it.
Joel.
God damn it. Well,
they're gonna be a sponsor before you know it.
Well, if they're gonna give us money, sure, but
Yeah, if they start forking over to the USCA or to our podcast, either one, we're going to be all on
Yeah,
the
I'm perfectly happy.
I will
Yeah.
chill for anybody.
If Microsoft came to me as a sponsor tomorrow, I would make you destroy all of this podcast. So somehow,
consider it done.
I'm not rich enough to be that picky. So
Yeah. All right. What else we got?
Let's talk about the CEO search a little bit. And you probably can't get into much, but did you put your name in to continue being the permanent CEO as opposed to the interim CEO as your current title is?
Yeah, thanks, Craig. I did. I've always said I was interested in the job, so I did apply for the job, and I think I was informed yesterday that I made it through the first round of interviews. So now there's a final selection process at the end of April at a board meeting, and I'll be one of the candidates. So,
Okay.
I'm certainly hopeful. I want the job, probably more than most jobs I've ever applied for. So I'd really like to get it. But I also understand the board wants to be transparent and go through a proper search and vet candidates, and that makes sense. So I'll, hopefully make my way through the process and end up with the job, but I can understand why the search is happening.
Sure, absolutely. Is like the April, is this process similar to what it was, 3 years ago when Jeff Plush was hired?
Timeline on
like,
this?
There's a board meeting, so I can speak to this a little bit. Because I was on the board the last time, there was a couple of candidates that came in and basically spoke to the entire board and had some Q&A, and then they left the room and we discussed for however long, and then we voted. Is that kind of how the process is set up to go this time as well?
Yeah, so my understanding is that's how it's going to work. I don't know if I don't know the number of candidates it'll be in this final group, but yeah, that's my understanding of how it will work, Craig, similar to that. Presentations and the questions probably, and then the board will arrive at a decision.
Okay.
I did not make the cut. I also didn't apply. So,
well, yeah, I mean,
sorry to let Curling Nation down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have selected you to go to the next round of interviews if I was on the board any longer.
Nobody nominated me for the job either, so
Yeah,
I guess.
Excellent.
I guess you're lost. So.
Yeah.
So, I know there was a lot of concern during the fall. There's a lot of not just the GNCC stuff, but the Jeff Plush, the NWSL backlash potential. There was a lot of concern about sponsors, abandoning the program in general. And I think that, to my knowledge, that everybody stayed. Is that correct?
Yeah, I reached out to Columbia my first week, and TCO Orthopedics Training House. Toyota had already said they'd be back on a lesser basis, so we retained them, but they had said that some time ago. They pared down their list of NGBs that they support, so I don't think it was unexpected. Triathlon was one that was dropped, a couple others, although the good thing that's happened there is they reached out. I kept in contact with them, and they reached out to ask for a street curling rink for an auto show. And now it's part of their activation, and now they're going to go back to sponsoring us by paying for using our logo at those events. So sponsor dollars, yeah. And the project at the Viking Lakes continues to be, it's in design stages. There's certainly ways to go on that, but nobody at Wilf organization of the Vikings was concerned. They certainly wanted to talk with me when I first started, but I think they just wanted to make sure, that I had a similar idea for what they were trying to do. So all in all, yeah, I feel really good about that. I think the best thing maybe came from Columbia. They said, look, we committed to support the sport through this quadrennial, and we're going to do that no matter what. And shows their stake as a company in the sport, and just their decency too, right? They said, we're sponsoring a sport, so good. They're great to work with.
Mm-hmm.
When can I get a sweet hat like Hamilton and Plys were wearing at Worlds?
At
Are you
the
talking about that
USCA store?
Yeah,
the beachcomber hat they're wearing.
Yeah,
the white one.
I like the beach hat.
At the USCA
we
store.
Yes,
right?
Now open at usacurling.org. Go to shop, and you can find all the Columbia gear. We had a really successful run at merchandise this year.
It's there.
I felt like
we had
was there a couple days ago and didn't see the sweet hat. So,
I was there today and I saw it. The white.
Maybe it's just
right. It may have just gone out there, but I did see it there. They got
I'm gonna get myself a sweet hat.
There's it's not exactly easy to find.
That's okay. I'll find it.
Yeah, which that's probably
Joel's giving me a little bit of advice there. Joel's giving me a little bit of advice there.
Yeah, don't make it hard for people to spend their money.
There you go.
Yeah, noted. I was just looking at it today and thought it was too far.
It took me several clicks, but it took me several clicks to get to the entire store.
All right.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get right off this call and get after that, Joel, because I appreciate it.
If nothing else, I'll ask Joel to send me the link.
I think that I think that you probably deserve a big pat on the back for keeping all of these sponsors on board. And I don't know how much of it was you, how much of it was them, whatever. But with the amount of turmoil that was happening, to not lose any of them, and you had to be the guy having those conversations, you got to get some of the credit.
I'd certainly agree with that.
And,
yeah.
Could have gone south.
Yeah.
So, nice work on that.
It would have been too easy
I
for them to just say, just look at the headlines and just say, no, I'm done. It would have been really easier for them to do it. And they didn't.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't want to overemphasize my own role, but I appreciate that. And I think really it speaks to the fact that our game is in a good place. I mean, people see potential in our sport. We have to figure out a way to unlock it for them so that we get going, and move forward. But I think that's the biggest thing about it.
So speaking of other events and unlocking potential, the U5 Nationals are coming up next week.
Yeah, in Hibbing, Minnesota.
In Hibbing, you're going to be there. Is that correct?
I am going to be there. Like I said I'd go to every national championship, and I have. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Is that the last one of the year?
That is the last one of the season. Then we'll loop around, and I think our next event next year is going to be the Youth Olympic Games Playdowns, which will be here at the Denver Curling Club. So in September.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that they just announced today a number of the championship sites for next year.
And
a number of them are in
Yeah.
Denver.
No, they're in they're in Denver. So
Well,
cool. Good
Denver
for them.
Denver is the both clubs here are willing to host, which is great. Not that other clubs. Broomstones just did the Junior Nationals, did a terrific job. But we are trying to get well ahead of the event schedule compared to where we are before. I think Aaron Carolyn and I spent most of the day today on trying to do that, and that's everything from arenas for our men's and women's nationals and our trials, and then finding clubs that really want to host national events. And one thing we're trying to do, as I said earlier, is just be better partners to those host clubs too. So I can understand why there was reluctance among clubs in the United States to host events. It was understandable. So, but we've worked pretty hard this year to try to change some of that, and we'll keep doing that.
So I want to bring up the five and under, because I think that's brought up a whole new structure to the game, where there's 5 and under nationals, and now there's a whole new Bonspiel circuit of 5 and under spiels. And I think that's turned out to be a really important aspect to curling in the U.S., that it's giving more opportunities for new curlers to figure out what bondspieling is, and to meet new curlers, and get out and play the game.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. I mean, it's funny. I thought, because people outside the sport sometimes think when we say 5 and under, they think we're having a national championship for preschoolers. So I actually, every other sport, my son plays baseball, right? It's 13U, 12U. So, so I actually put
we have
an
our junior
idea
nationals,
earlier.
there's 18U and there's 21U, and now we got 5U. So I can understand that.
I put out a thought that, start calling it the New Curler Nationals for players with 5 years of experience or less. But I had a bit of pushback on New Curler Nationals from that group, and I took it. And they I think some of them were said, well, now I've been curling for a while, which is true, but I was just trying to find some way to get away from 5U. Anyways, that's a whole other thing, but it's a great circuit. The curlers in that group are really enthusiastic. And one of the things, some people said to me, well, the first, the USWCA, they launched it really, and people were involved then. So, it was a pretty social event. It's still a very social event, but I also, and I'm glad they do, they want it to feel like a real championship, and that's what we're going to work to provide in Hibbing. They want timers, they want the things that make it feel like a national championship. So That's been exciting to see.
So, why can't they name themselves? Like, it's all the skip names. Like, it's so Curling Nation sponsored team, the Purple Pretenders. Good luck to them in Hibbing, and they can't be called the Purple Pretenders as they name themselves. Not really sure why they called themselves that, but they were told they can't
Joel,
be. They can't be called the Purple Tenders. Their team, they are Team De Jong. So,
it's funny. I saw this. Aaron got that email today.
Yeah.
So they're why are they not Team Curling Nation if you're really sponsoring them?
because our budget isn't that good.
Let's not muddle up this argument with facts, Dean.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I think it's worth looking at. I'm going to get off this call and I'll discuss it with
I
Aaron
didn't even
again,
know we were sponsoring them until 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
By sponsoring them, I paid to put our logo on their jackets.
Okay.
Yeah.
It cost me, I think, $15.
Oh,
And
good.
to be fair, they were already the purple pretenders when they approached us.
Got it.
So,
That's fine.
yeah.
I will do. Yeah. Well, I will see what I can find out
That's
on
not a
this.
big
So
subject,
there's
Joel.
there's a huge marketing opportunity there
Yeah, you could.
for teams to be called
Yeah.
Team DeWalt Drills. Like, I don't know.
I agree, and I think we'll eventually see that. I agree with you.
From the guy who pioneered the micro sponsorship.
Yeah, all right. I hear you. See, I'm willing to listen to all constructive criticism, so I'm going to take this back and look
Yeah.
at it. So,
I know, like,
yeah,
like when teams get, when teams go to Worlds, like, yes, they're Team USA, they're Team Sweden, they're Team whatever, but
USA.
Team USA. But before that, they can be Team M&Ms.
I agree. I think there's room for that. I think, you're also. I'm going to have to. I need all this time to work with Jerry at Curling Zone about how to make this work out. So, no. Point taken. Got the email today. Well, I just heard about it briefly.
That's an interesting fact though. Like, I mean, it's one thing here in 5 and unders, where maybe somebody gets, their shirts paid for, but I mean,
Yeah.
what's to say Team Schuster doesn't want to turn into Team Allianz because that's one of their major team sponsors. I don't know. I've never really considered that before.
Which maybe they're Team Allianz at the slams, but at Play Islands they have to be Team Schuster.
Maybe.
Or yeah.
Well, we've really opened something up here, and I'm gonna try to come up with to consider both sides of this argument here, Joel.
That's a can of worms. Dean wasn't
Yeah.
looking to fish this weekend.
Yeah.
Mo money. Like, yeah.
All right.
What else you got, Craig?
I got a couple
Greg's
more
got a
things.
great list.
I got a list of things.
He actually wrote stuff down.
For the first time ever, I look like I'm professional. It's too bad you can't see me
Yeah.
because I have
Bummer,
a piece of
yeah.
paper and a pen.
And when
No, I can see you. I did see notes.
When
I
did
can
you
see
ask
you.
for that piece of paper and pen?
again.
I
Craig?
did it in between the time we first got on the phone with you and the time that you got back on the phone with us.
I just want to make sure our no research street cred is still going on.
Well, we're still not doing research. I'm just taking notes so I don't forget which questions
I just don't
want
want people to get confused that we're doing research for the show.
Yeah, we did a show the other day with the Australian mixed doubles team, and it wasn't until after the show was done
I'm gonna put that in that's gonna be in the intro.
that we realized that they had just gone to a fairly major mixed doubles cash spiel and won it like 2 days earlier, and we had
So
no clue. None of us had any idea at all.
The no research bona fides are intact. I don't think
Yeah.
you have to worry about it.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so one thing, every week I ask my wife if she has a question, and my kids. My kids weren't paying attention this week, but if they have a question for the guest. And my wife said that apparently the Curling News isn't putting in local Bonspiel results this year. Is that? I don't know. I don't even know if it's true because I didn't research it.
I don't either. I think your wife was salty because she's won about 100 Bonspiels this
Actually,
year.
she wasn't, but somebody else, when she was at the club at one point in the last few weeks, somebody was mad because they didn't get in the Curling News and they thought they should have. And now maybe the Spiel just didn't send in the results. But is that actually the case, or is it just a budget cut thing, or have you decided that somebody running the Curling News decided that we're not doing that anymore?
Well, what's interesting is before I started, the Curling News had ceased publication, the paper version of it. So
sure.
We do an e-newsletter we try to do an e-newsletter every month. But we'll give some thought to bring the Curling News the printed piece back in some form. We just have to make it more cost effective. It might be a thing that maybe we do once a year and it gets shipped directly to clubs versus to every member's home to save money. So I think there was some value in it, actually, even though when, it was, we stopped printing it, I thought it was a good cost effective move, but there might be some value in bringing it back in some form. On Bonspiel results, there's no concerted effort to not include Bonspiel results. We frankly probably just haven't done as good a job of tracking that this year and getting it in that monthly newsletter. And I'll take full blame for that. I
we'll
think
pass it off on somebody else.
Well, if we're going to be, I think
it's probably Joel's.
Yeah,
fault. It's fine.
So I think it's something people liked, and it's something we'll try to figure out how to do more efficiently.
I don't mind the digital version. I think the digital version is fine, but
I was hesitant for a long time. I thought, because I was on the board when we had this discussion every year.
Yeah, fair.
This thing is costing us way too much money, and I'm like, but everybody, not everybody, but I'm like, but people like it, and I liked having the physical copy. But I think
that's the key thing.
I knew how expensive it was, but now that the physical copy has gone away, I think it's okay. I know how much of a cost savings it is.
Got it.
And I know that the budget's tight, and with any of that knowledge, I still think you get the same amount of information.
Sure.
We're close to it.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you there, Craig. I mean, I was, like I said, it's the one thing it provided that you mentioned was it's a physical reminder of your USA Curling membership. And one of the things I've said to people is we need to do a better job of that in myriad ways, right? So, in fact, one of the things you have now within our Sport 80 platform, you can actually download a membership card. If we had a different budget, I would love to mail where you join and you get a hat, and maybe that becomes factored into membership, that there's going to be a hat that you're or something. We need some more physical things. Right now, you can download your membership card and get 10% off in our store with a code. So, trying to do more things, hardly there. But that's one thing, you're right, Craig, that the Curling News did. It was, okay, this is a physical reminder of USA Curling, and we need more of those.
I appreciate that you're serious about this, but I can't take anything seriously. Can I get a badge or something?
A patch?
A badge.
We have
I want a badge.
Like a cop?
Yeah, I want a tin star that says I'm a USA Curling.
God, you're an idiot.
We all know that. That's fine.
We'll send that to our merchandise manager, Gabby, so she'll source those for you.
She'll shoot that down as fast as
merchandise recommendations, badges.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't take anything seriously. But I like that. That's neat that you get 10% off.
Yeah, then now you can get a deal on your hat. Yeah.
Even better.
Excellent. Is there anything in the pipeline that you want to or can promote that you think is coming up, or you got some secret things that you can't talk about because they're still being worked on?
Yeah, I think things relating to broadcasting and other things, probably not a whole lot to divulge right now. But there's things I'm excited about. We have, we got a $50,000 donation from Bill Peskoff and the Peskoff Charitable Fund, and that's funding a program that will send our national team and elite level athletes, not just national team members, out to clubs to deliver clinics and community engagement. And what it really does is at no cost to the club. We're hopeful that clubs will also, work with us to develop some revenue at those events so that the 50,000 becomes sustaining. So that's something I'm excited about. It's been announced, but we really won't get rolling till next season, next traditional curling season. Other things in the works. We're going to continue to try to build this merchandise business. We are looking at adding some more championships, whether that's a U21 mixed doubles or a high school championship.
Can the calendar sustain that many more championships? Like, that seems like a lot of work.
It's always you're right, Joel. It's a balance. You can't just say, oh, we want to, let's just add all these championships, because we will reach a point where if we don't have more money and resources, we can't keep doing that.
Talk to USA Triathlon about that. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, Katie Baker was with us, used to be at USA Triathlon.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. So there's things to manage there. We also have, the World Curling Federation still needs a site for the Pan-Continental Championships next year. So we've been trying to see if there's a place that maybe in the United States could host that, but there's certainly some real challenges there to make that happen.
We hosted some outdoor curling here in Monona during the pandemic. That was a lot of fun. So,
I think that's earlier in the season.
Just saying,
too early in the year. We're not going to be able to make ice in the park.
Damn it!
By early November, or whenever that event was, October even.
Yeah, but no, that'd be a good event to have in the U.S. somewhere for sure.
Yeah, it's a big job. It needs you need about 9 sheets of ice, and you need an arena. And,
holy crap!
So. Because it's two groups, right? There's the A group and then there's the B group. So I think it's close to 30 countries, and it's a lot.
A lot of infrastructure.
So you need 2 clubs. So you're talking about either Hibbing last chance style, or
you need 2 arenas because they're not
Minneapolis, St. Paul somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to bring an event to the Twin Cities in a nationals to one of the arenas there, but the demand for them with hockey is so high when we need them.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
So it sounds like there's some stuff coming. Not all of it you can talk about, but that's great.
Good.
Yeah. And then we touched on it earlier. I think there's a new membership model and governance will happen as well. So,
Excellent.
So that's,
So as U.S. curlers, like, we all want to see U.S. curling succeed in participation and numbers, and certainly at world championships as well. So, what can U.S. curlers do other than just donate to the fund of USA Curling, like buy pins and merch, like?
Buy pins and merch for sure.
Buy pins and merch, but like, what can we do as U.S. curlers to support the cause or put forth USA
I think
curling?
there's a couple things there, right? I mean, certainly for one thing, just people who commit time and energy is super valuable, and I've said that this year at every national championship, that I've been humbled by the willingness of people to, devote time and their talents to the sport and this organization. So that's certainly one way. Obviously, money is another. One of the things I want to do a better job of, and this athlete engagement initiative is one example of that. People want specific things and programs to support. So I hope going forward, I mean, when you look at the game itself, when in some of the major markets, like here in Denver, it's not so much a finding members, it's figuring out how to accommodate them. So we have a facility issue to address, and that might be something that could be a major donor push. Even as it goes back to relates to the membership model, we've never asked either, by the way, we've never asked the curling community and worked for it, but we've never asked or worked for, more than the $34. So $34 to me has always been really reasonable. But we haven't said, hey, would you also maybe like to donate 25 to a junior curling initiative and outline it? So I think in a new membership model, we might see some of that, and people would feel good about where their money it was supporting something very specific.
I think that'd be a pretty good program where you identify juniors or just developmental or club facilities. Like you can donate to these 4 or 5 different programs wherever your heart desires, and you can donate to those. I think that's a pretty good idea.
I mean, one of the things that bothers me is, when I talk to a club that's struggling because they're, they're compressor blue or whatever. And, I wish there was a fund and we were able to say, okay, well, here's a 0 interest loan or a low interest loan or a grant or whatever. And so I think that's something that donors might be willing to support. So yeah, those are all things to work on in terms of how we handle things that people want to do to help USA Curling. Like I said, first, time and energy, super valuable, and it's been evident this year. And money certainly another way. And yeah, buy all the caps and puffer jackets and everything else we're selling that you can.
If we had you on video here, people could see the puffer jacket because I think you were wearing one. But
I got the vest on. I mean, you got to get the vest and the
vest.
jacket.
But people are just going to have to go to the USAC store
I'm not made of money, Dean.
to go buy it.
It's valuable. It's got value. USAcurling.org.
It'll keep you warm.
And then
Send
shop.
us a couple and we'll wear them on the show.
Yeah, I can see now that the media play for merch. I hear you.
No.
Yeah.
How about you're kind of the face of the organization right now, and you mentioned a bunch of people. Are there some people you want to highlight since we've got you on the show that have really been, lifting their weight this year, or punching above their weight class?
Yeah,
I'm sure you want to highlight everybody, but
yeah. No, I could go on here, but because obviously, I've been a public face and answering a lot of questions, et cetera, but I have not been doing, 10% of the work, I guess, that goes on. Our staff, Jenna Bercheski, Gabby Takis, Hannah, Amy and Rob, and I mean, now I got to name everybody, but I would name everybody on our staff. And yeah, and all our international, and anybody on our staff this year has been willing to contribute anything. I mean, Pete Annis, this is our wheelchair national team coach, and he's helping us ship merchandise this week. So I have to thank all of them. I have to thank athletes who have been really supportive this year, and that's at all levels, from our top teams to people who are competing in things like the club nationals. They've been giving me lots of thoughts and support and et cetera. And they've been great. And then our athletes at championships have been great about just focusing on the task at hand. That was big during the Pan-Continental Championships, for instance, when those two teams, there's all these things going on with our organization. And then I think all our, like I said, I mentioned club leadership before. I think they've been, certain clubs have really been so helpful. And then the event host. I had a lot of sleepless nights worrying about where we were going to put championships. So
sure.
Every club that stepped up this year, really grateful for them.
I think, I'm going to ask a question, and then you can answer it. And then if I don't like your answer, I'm going to tell you how to answer it.
It sounds like a good media training exercise.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Craig.
So it's kind of a two-parter, but what's for this past? I don't know when you took over. About October. Is that
November 1, I guess. Really.
November 1. So whatever, 5 months, 6 months here. What do you think your biggest kind of loss was, and what was your biggest win?
So biggest loss. Well, one thing I screwed up was I was more incendiary in an email that went out to everybody than I needed to be. I wanted to raise a topic, and I didn't do it as well as I should have, and I regretted that. Jessica Schultz went on to another job. That was difficult, and to manage through that, and we had to hired a new controller when Eric Gleason left. So those were sort of staff changes to manage through. But I think on the organization side, I think it's just, we've run really good championships, I think, but maybe got tripped up a couple times by our rule book that we're going to examine in the off season. So those would be a couple losses. I think wins have been, really showing some people that, we do want every championship that we run to be special and not feel like Tuesday league night. So I'd say that's a win. I don't know how else I could answer that. I don't know if I should have been more specific, Craig, according to media
that was
training,
good
or if
enough.
that was good enough.
It was you
All
left
right.
out one thing that I think was definitely a win was the the broadcasting.
Oh, right. Absolutely. Yes.
And I think
should've-
that went over very well at men's and women's. I watched a bit of the juniors that looked good. And I think
Yeah, actually, I feel terrible about forgetting that now because, John and Joel and Cam and Jerry at Curling Stadium, that was a huge win for us this year. And just the fact that with them, we were able to show all the games, every draw was huge. And that was, it was a great thing that we started working with them. And I want to continue that relationship because they were terrific.
It was a very exhausting week, but it was fun to see it at the end. Like it all worked. Despite that,
and I remember
despite that first game,
first night was tricky, and we were all stressed because we knew what we were up against. But credit to you and John John, I think, for finding some problems and figuring them out. And I couldn't be happier with that.
Which that first game, that was a hardware problem with a brand new out of box network switch, which typically shouldn't happen with a professional brand like we used. So it was
Gremlins, man. They were after us that night.
Those goddamn gremlins. But for the most part, I think I was out in Denver pushing the ones and twos, as Mike says, and
I like to call them ones and twos.
and moving the cameras around, and I think it all worked fairly well. There's some things out that Curling Stadium is certainly going to improve on as the years progress, but I think overall it went pretty well.
I think if you're going to let Tyler George continue to prattle on, you're going to need to have a sponsorship with Dr. Pepper Zero. I think that was the.
I know he was pushing for that. Yeah. So I think one of the things I've appreciated is I feel like and I know John and I and you will all talk in the off season about ways we can make it better, right? And whether that's how it looks or what we do, whatever. I mean, there's it's a good open dialogue, and that's the kind of thing I like to do. But thrilled the first season, and it was certainly nerve-wracking because I know, if those problems hadn't been resolved, there would have been a lot of criticism of us that week.
Yeah, but now hopefully you have enough of a baseline to go to Columbia or other future sponsors to bring in, saying, hey, this is what we're doing, this is the numbers we're getting, and it's only going to improve.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all part of any conversation we have to get more eyeballs on our sport, right? However that happens. I don't think, the sports media landscape, as you guys know, is so different right now, and everybody's trying to find their way through it. So having some proof of concept is really valuable.
Have you spoken to other Team USA sports on their struggles with getting on TV or getting on other streaming platforms, or is everybody pretty much just on their own, get it out wherever you can?
It's the wild, wild west.
No, there are definitely some collective efforts underway that we've been invited to be a part of, and we're talking to people about some collective efforts with other NGBs. I think everybody involved with those efforts knows that it's not easy.
Because NBC shut down their NBC Sports and their Olympic channel, and which is unfortunate.
And they're actually, they've really exited a lot of live sports in general, right? So they, and I think a few years ago, the idea was everybody thought they would start moving sports onto Peacock, and that hasn't really happened either. So it's a bit unclear what their plans are for sports at the moment, but they're certainly not broadcasting Olympic sports in non-Olympic years like they once were. So, I think curling still has we have a good card to play here with our sport, but you have to, whatever it is, you have to prove the ROI for whether it's for a network or a sponsor that's going to underwrite it, or a streaming service. You're going to have to prove the ROI on it, and that's still work we have to do.
For sure.
I'm out of things on my piece of paper.
Oh,
I'm out of questions.
Okay. Well, that's good.
I'm going to tell you guys, I'm also at 5% power on my phone. So
Oh,
if you lose
geez.
me, that's
All
what
right.
it's
You
doing.
all know I dragged the show down. So
You did drag the show down.
Yeah.
You did and you do. Both. Well, we normally ask everybody questions. We already asked you all these questions once when you were on the show in season 1, which, by the way, is still one of my favorite episodes.
It's one of my favorites too. I mean, no, it was so much fun that night. It was so much fun. Actually, it's the only one I've ever listened to. Seriously.
Listen to
No,
one
I'm
more
kidding.
at least, besides
I'm kidding.
this one.
I listen. No,
And-
you're on my when I'm driving anywhere. You guys are on my regular list of listens of my
Oh,
curling
great.
podcast I
Yeah.
go through.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a pretty short list for curling podcasts anyway. So
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That Kevin
I get
Martin
through
one,
them.
they do so many shows and they just ramble on about the same stuff all the time. It seems.
I just
I
don't care about Canadian competitive curling. I just don't.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch.
we won't
listen
get
to that
into
one a
that.
bit, too.
We don't want to
No,
bash
it's a good one.
anybody else.
No, it's a good one to. It's a different perspective on the sport for sure than we're doing.
100%.
Well, do you have anything else you want to add that we didn't talk about?
Yeah.
No, I just want to thank you guys for having me on, and like I think I've said this earlier, but thank all the people in the curling community who've been so supportive this year, and our staff. I'm just watching here now. See, here's the guy I forgot to mention, Sean Olson, just leaving the rink right now.
Oh yeah, sure.
He's been here all day, and super great asset to the organization, and really been great to have him. We had him at as many national championships as we can this year. So I just had that. I'm glad Sean just came out. So
And
but,
Sean is on his way up to 5 and under as well,
yeah, he'll
right?
be in Hibbing. He'll be in Hibbing working and helping with the ice there and leading,
Great.
Helping that crew. So it's great. Yeah, no, I want to say too, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I think, curling media matters, and the more people we have out there making contributions, the better off we'll be. So I appreciate that as well.
We'll take it.
Damn. Feel good about
And
ourselves.
right
Everyone's
after
feeling
Sean-
Little pat on the
Right
back.
after Sean, out came Lauren Rich, who's one of our members of Sean's crew from Portland,
Awesome.
and Jeff
I think our
from
ice guy's
Madison.
out there too. He's probably in bed.
You just went by me.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All
He's
right.
out there too.
Yeah.
Great.
No, you're good, buddy. You're good. Yeah.
He worked us last week. We went and had to do the squeegee party at our
Yeah.
club where we squeegee all the ice and paint off the floor.
Get the water
So-
out. Yeah.
That's right.
a lot
We
of work.
did a great job.
We did do a great job. Damn right. There was no paint or water left
All
when
right,
we
let's
left.
let Dean get out of here before
Yeah.
he just gets cut off abruptly.
Yeah.
'Cause
And his phone dies.
Thanks
Yeah.
again for having me, and I hope to see you guys soon, and maybe be back at the Madison Club in not too long.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
We'd love to see you.
Sounds
guys.
good. Thanks,
See ya.
Dave.
Thanks, Dean.
Thanks, Dean.
All right. Bye-bye.
Later. Bye. All right, season 3, episode 13. It's in the books. Big thanks to interim CEO, maybe long-term CEO, who knows, whatever. Dean Gemmel for joining the show. That was a great interview. Good chat with him. Big thanks to Motus Financial for continuing to sponsor the show. MotusCC.com for your POS or credit card processing needs. Check them out. Otherwise, get some cards. Summer Spiel, Bond Spiel. I don't even know how much curling is left. We don't have very many shows left, so there can't be much curling left. Curling Nation at curlingnetwork.com. You can always use them next season. They don't go bad or anything. No expiration date on the cards. Otherwise, interact with the show. Email us. Curling Nation, curlingnetwork.com, Facebook, Twitter. We're out there. Find us. Who do you want on the show next year? Who do you want us on the show? I don't know. Are we going to have a guest for the last one? Tune in. Find out.
Who knows?
That's it. Mike McDermott.
Craig.
Not Craig.
Out.